West, the SEC championship. So I think the Browns have a foothold in that conversation. I think the Steelers have some ground in that conversation. The Panthers have some ground in that conversation. The Vikings have some ground in that conversation. The Rams, again, have some ground. And then, of course, the Texans. So every game, I think, there was a team that really stood out to me. The Falcons aren't doing good, so I think the Steelers will knock them out. The Chiefs, again, had a phenomenal game against, if not one of the best defenses in the league, and you blow them out by 16 points. So it's a conversation between, do you give it to a team that had to fight all the way to the end, or a team that blew out a team they shouldn't have blown out? And I guess we can do both. So I think if we're talking about fighting all the way to the end, I think you got to give it to the Browns. If not the Browns, the Texans. I think that those are tied. Browns and Texans are tied for best performance as a team. Both games ended in overtime. Both were close. Both were back and forth. I saw a lot of great things. I think Baker Mayfield is fun to watch. I think they still got a lot of weapons. They got some stuff to work on. Don't get me wrong, but you win a tough game against the Baltimore Ravens, who have a good defense. I think you win that conversation. And then, of course, the Texans and Cowboys, again, fighting your way to the victory. Get the dub. And you do it against a beat-up Cowboys defense, but a strong Cowboy defense. I mean, I've never seen the Cowboys hold a team on the goal line and shut them out and force them to kick field goals like that. And twice in a row. I mean, they did a lot of good things. But they couldn't finish. Rams had a great game. I'm disappointed in Jared Goff a little bit because he didn't give me all the points I needed and wanted. But I think they still beat a really good Seahawks defense. Remained undefeated. I mean, even though I'm talking bad about Jared Goff this week, he still was 23 for 32, over 320 passing yards and a touchdown. But he had 2 picks. You got to take care of the football, my dude. I've been talking so much about you. So many good things about this guy all year long. Got to take care of the football. Bad week for Jared Goff as far as taking care of the football. But you still find a way to win. You have a good QBR. You still throw for over 300 yards and a touchdown. So, not the best player performance, but he's in the conversation for leading his team. The Vikings had a great game against the Eagles, won by 2. I mean, this game was back and forth, and they made more plays at the end of the day. Man, I don't think I can just choose one. Panthers and Giants. I don't think Panthers are in this conversation because they have no business only beating the Giants by 2 points. And don't get me wrong, I'm loving on the Giants this season because of Saquon Barkley. And he's on my fantasy team, so I need him to do good. And he's averaging like 18 points a game, so I'm loving it. But the Giants are, at the end of the day, they were 1-3. Now they're 1-4. They're 50%. They're 30% on the road. So I don't know. I think the Panthers should have beaten the Giants by a larger margin, and the Giants played really well. Their defense was outstanding. The past 2 games, their front 4, their front 3, have been phenomenal, and they got really good DBs. I mean, Landon Collins and Webb. I mean, those guys are some ball hawks, and they really lay the leather on you. And then, of course, don't let me forget to talk about the Chiefs and the Jaguars again. so many good games this week. It's kind of hard to pick one. But I had a feeling that the Jaguars were going to get kind of handed to this week. And so I have the Jaguars defense. They're averaging like 9-10 points for me. I sat them and I put the Ravens defense in. It worked out for me because the Jaguars ended up scoring 2 points on fantasy. And I think the Ravens got like 8. So, it's fine. It was a good decision in the end. But, Jaguars... you have to have a better defensive performance. It's just hard to do it against, I think, if not the best, one of the best offenses in football. I think they're the most efficient. They're the most productive statistically. And they've played really good teams and stayed afloat. I think Chiefs now, it's safe to say that the Chiefs are the number one team in all of the NFL. And the Rams are right there behind him. The Rams didn't have a great game today, and I'm waiting for Patrick Mahomes to have not a good game, but it's hard. I mean, this guy, he's throwing up big numbers, this guy, I'm telling you, it's great, it's huge. Anyway, it's 11:57 here in the throne room. I forgot if I introduced this episode or not. Anyway. Oh, wow. It's a great night. So, yeah, I think all of those teams have room to be in the conversation. Worst performance of the week, I think goes to the Jaguars. Just after I say that the Chiefs did the best. I mean, they pooped the bed this week. Their defense didn't play anything like they should have. It was poor, and their offense, a lot of turnovers, weren't converting. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't move the ball downfield. You couldn't get it done. You can't. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to stop the best offense in the country. So I get that portion of it, but, you can't turn the ball over. You can't make it easier for them to do that. And I think that's one of the reasons that their defense suffered so much is because they were on the field. I mean, my senior year of high school, we suffered tremendously because our offense turned the ball over. And our defense was on the field just so much. We were tired out. We could hold a lot of really good teams in the first quarter, and then we were forced to play most of the third and fourth quarter completely because we kept getting 3 and outs and then 3 and outs, and then we convert 1, maybe 2, and then 3 and out again. And we couldn't put up points, and it's very demoralizing as a defense to have to come off the field after a team just scores on you, and your offense is only out there for 3 points plus the punt. So, and then you have to go back out on the field and try to stop it again. It's very hard to do that all game long. You can do it for the first quarter, second quarter maybe, but you can't do it all game long. You got to move the ball on defense. You have to move the ball on offense to try to, produce some points just to help out your defense. Otherwise, you're going to end up with what we saw at Jacksonville, where the Jaguars defense is out there a long time because you turn the ball over. And so I think that was critical. That's why they're the worst performance of the week. And if you're going to talk about worst performance while we're on this game, Blake Bortles has got to be, your worst performance of the week. I mean, it just a bad game. He's had some really good games this season where, his rating is, through the roof. His rating's through the roof. But you turn the ball over 4 times and you only score 1 touchdown. You're 50% throwing through the air. You're definitely not in the conversation for best performance of the week. So at a 54.7 QB ratio, when you're having to put points on the board to play the best offense in the nation, you got to do better than that, and that's pitiful in any game you play, really. So Blake Bortles gets worst performance of the week this week, and to lighten the mood up, best performance of the week. Let's think here. You can give it to Patrick Mahomes, but I think. Well, no, you can't really give it to Deshaun Watson. You should give it to Deshaun Watson because of his warrior mentality this game. I mean, like I said, he got beaten up all game long, and he still made it work. He still took his team out there every drive and got something going. So this week he was 33 for 44, 375 yards, 75%, with a touchdown and an interception. It's very easy to say that because you throw 1 interception that you're out of the conversation, but the guy still had a 98 QBR. And he took so many hits, and he made clutch throws when he needed to. He put that ball at the very end in overtime exactly where it needed to be, where only D-Hop could catch it in that shallow crossing route. And he just gave it to his best weapon on the field and let him juke out 2 people, spin 2 people out of their shoes. You make clutch throws like that and times that you need it. I mean, that throw won them the game because after that they kicked the game-winning field goal because it put them in position to do so. They don't have all the weapons in the world as far as defense goes. I was impressed with their defense, don't get me wrong, holding Ezekiel Elliott on the ground only, I don't know, what did he have this week? Only 54 yards on the ground and 30 through the air. I mean, if you hold a guy like Ezekiel Elliott to 84 yards and no touchdown the whole game, you're doing something good because that guy's leading the league in rushing yards and all-purpose yards as a running back, I think. So, I think Deshaun Watson takes it this week as far as best performance. He did it all. He did turn the ball over once, and that was, not completely his fault. But I think he takes the cake for best performance of the week. Man. Okay, so hot take. Hot take for week 6 and week 7 for college. Hot take, Heisman hopeful is still going for Tua. I'm still going to say Tua. The guy, this is a crazy stat. I want y'all to hear this stat here. In this game against Arkansas, he only threw 13 passes, okay? 13 passes. He threw for 4 touchdowns. And he only had 3 incompletions. Listen to this. He threw more touchdown passes than he had incompletions. 10 for 13, 334 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. No picks. This guy is the best quarterback in college football that I have seen in a long time, playing at the best team in the country. Wow, it's impressive. It really is impressive. Now, if we're going to apply Alabama to the standards, I